Hello, today is the 10th of December 2025. A very, very short video here because I had to reply to something. The question asked was, in an interview, was, "You never got laid? You never got laid?" That was the question that Piers Morgan asked of young Nick Fuentes yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm not sure when it happened. Mocking a young man for being chaste isn't humor. It's a misuse of influence. He asked it with a very clear sneer. That was one of the many questions that 60-year-old Piers Morgan asked 27-year-old Nicholas Fuentes in that tiresome interview everyone is talking about. I have never watched the young man Fuentes until his Tucker Carlson interview. I saw a young man, a provocative young man, didn't really pay too much attention. But I see that this interview between him and Piers Morgan, everyone is talking about it. You can't avoid it. Clips here, clips there. I tried to watch it because one of you, my followers, in one of the comments a few days ago, perhaps a week or 2 weeks ago, you left a comment saying, before this interview, asking me what I thought of Nick Fuentes. And I reply, I really didn't know very much about him at all, but would try to watch him once or twice and give my first impressions. So I tried, since I'm in my feed, clips after clips after clips of that interview. I said, well, I better watch then. This was probably something very important. And I couldn't. I found it ugly and nasty. Mr. Morgan, with his usual subterranean tactics, I find him rather distasteful. But then, as I said, more and more clips, and I said, well, I have to force myself to watch this thing. So I finally managed to watch it all in intervals of about 10 minutes. Couldn't do better than that. Young Fuentes was saying things that to an older generation, my generation, to many of you of my generation may seem rather provocative. That's true. Not to the young generation, though. Why not? Because he is attacking all our sacred cows, or what he thinks are sacred cows to most of us. They're not mine, but I am part of that generation that he has come to despise. The young generation had it with us. They lost their respect for us. They lost their trust in us. And they are rebelling against everything that they think we stand for. And they are right. We do not deserve their respect, not really. Look at the world that we are leaving for them. Look at the world they are inheriting. Many a time, like cowards, we didn't see, we didn't look, we didn't want to see. And like cowards, we refused to wake up. And when we did, if we did, then turned away and didn't solve the problems. And yet we continue to expect the young to believe and live their lives sacrificing to our sacred cows. They refuse. There is nothing we have to offer, they think. Go away. And as the young man Fuentes said, the best thing about you all is that your influence is waning. He didn't quite say good riddance. In his place, at his age, in his circumstance, I might have done. Our parents fought in wars and sacrificed life and limb for us. And we, my generation, and perhaps the following one, took the fruits of that sacrifice, had a heck of a time in our youth in the 60s and 70s. Never worried, never bothered, never asked. Believed everything we were told while our countries were being mismanaged, in many cases hijacked, and we continue to believe the lies. And many of us are still doing so. But there was one particular topic. It's about 3/4 of the way through the interview. I believe that towards the end, yes, that I found particularly distasteful. More than the race thing and the Israel thing and the women thing and okay, all the liberal sacred cows that Mr. Morgan was defending. One thing that caught my attention and I have to respond to. I don't know whether it is because I'm Catholic or because I'm a woman or perhaps both. Something in that interview that I want to address, not out of outrage, but out of shock or perhaps disappointment, because it matters, and I have to respond. When you have a national platform, Mr. Piers Morgan, when millions watch what you say, what you do, how you comport yourself, you're not just entertaining. You are directly and especially indirectly influencing others, especially the young. You are influencing. Every sentence, every joke, every smirk, every derisive and derisory comment becomes part of the moral environment that the people who watch you have to live in. You say you're Catholic. What do you mean by that exactly? That you were baptized and made your first communion? Is that enough, do you think? Anything else? Because you didn't show any Catholic formation last night. When a 60-year-old man sneered at a young man in his 20s who could be his son, you never got laid? Smirk, sneer, and continued in that vein for quite a while, mocking his virginity. Are you gay? He also asked. Do you like girls? Oh, but you've never been laid. And he continued on. Whether young Fuentes is a virgin or not, Fuentes said he was, but he could have been, what's the words that the young people use, trolling or trolling him, or what is the other word, gaslighting, I don't know, those words that they use anyway. He could be doing that, but he said he was. And Mr. Morgan finds that sort of thing amusing. 60 and sneered at it. A 60-year-old man sneering at you. You've never been laid. Smirk, smirk. Well, Mr. Morgan maintains he's Catholic. Catholic teaching has a word for your interaction, Mr. Morgan, with young Fuentes regarding the topic of virginity, and that is scandal. Do you know what that is, Mr. Morgan? I don't mean scandal in the ordinary sense of the word. I mean it in the Catholic teaching of the meaning of the word and of its consequences. You remember all that millstone around your neck? Yes, that was about breaking a child's innocence, but more broadly was about scandal. Saint Gregory the Great, Mr. Morgan, warned that when you are in a position of influence, the example that you give, good or bad, will multiply by the people who look to you. He said that when a leader fails to show good example, he doesn't just fail privately, he harms those who look to him. If you ridicule a young man for being a virgin or for being chaste, you are not only demeaning him, you are telling every young person watching that chastity or purity or virtue is shameful. That is a serious misuse of influence. So you're Catholic, all right. So St. Augustine defined scandal as the moment when your words or actions turn someone away from what is good. You have a platform watched by millions of people. Many of them, I'm sure, are young. St. Augustine taught that when your words push someone away from what is good, when your joke makes virtue look foolish, you bear responsibility for that harm. Mocking a young man for his being chaste does exactly that. You turn the good into something laughable. In his sermons, he condemns bad example by elders, causing the weak to sin, or the young, corrupting the young through conduct or words, using authority to lead others astray. He uses the word scandalum frequently in the sense that the church later codified. St. John Chrysostom, he of the wonderful tongue, poetic, is fiery on moral corruption caused by elders. He speaks of parents who, he says, destroy their children's soul by their bad example. He warns adults that your life and how you live your life is a book from which the young read and learn. And he goes on to say and equates bad example with spiritual murder. Saint Ambrose says that mocking chastity is as worthy of reproach as committing lust yourself. When an older man mocks a young man for being chaste, he is not just making a joke. He is teaching, influencing others not to be so. And what he is teaching is harmful. If you laugh at chastity, you cheapen virtue in the eyes of a whole generation watching you. This is why what happened the other night matters, Mr. Morgan. When you mocked a young man on national television for being a virgin, for being chaste or celibate, That wasn't just a personal jab. It wasn't harmless teasing. It wasn't just a joke or a sneer or a laugh. What you did was shame a good thing in front of millions of people. You took being chaste, something that should be encouraged and respected. You turned it into a mocking laugh line. And whether you intended it or not, the message that goes out to young people is that chastity is silly, that chastity is embarrassing, that being chaste is something to laugh at and to mock, and that if you are not sexually experienced, oh dear, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's the power of a public platform. Your voice carries weight. People are influenced by you, indirectly perhaps. They wouldn't admit it, but they are. Some might even try to imitate you. They take cues from what you laugh at and what you praise. And with that influence comes responsibility, whether you want it or not. So I want to say this plainly. That moment was beneath you. It demeaned the young man sitting across from you, and it misled the countless young people watching from home, I'm sure. I know that perhaps you're capable of better than that. And because you have such reach, the standard for you is rightfully higher. If anything, this is an invitation to try to rise morally, if you can, to the level of your influence, to treat the young with dignity, to recognize that not everything, especially when dealing with a young man, with your life experience, not everything is fodder for humor or sneer or contempt, especially not the virtues we should be encouraging, not ridiculing. If you laugh at chastity, you cheapen virtue in the eyes of a whole generation watching you. I say this with as much respect as I can muster, which right now is not very much, but also with conviction. The world is watching, and the world deserves better examples than the one you gave last night. Thank you.